Good evening, happy Sabbath, and welcome to you all to our Mount Vernon Church Ladies' Day afternoon program. Today, we are celebrating our 65th Ladies' Day. My name is Patricia Campbell Johnson. Shall we pray? Sovereign Lord and Creator of this great universe, we, your children, pause to acknowledge you as our Father and to give you thanks. We thank you for waking us and allowing us to celebrate Mount Vernon SDA Church 65th Ladies' Day. You have looked beyond our faults and see our needs. Thank you for our daily provisions of food, shelter, and clothing. You have provided for our spiritual, psychological, emotional, and physical need. We thank you for the opportunity of technology where we can meet through virtual experience. Please bless everyone who is listening and watching on their electronic devices, also on Zoom, YouTube, Facebook. Please forgive us of our sins. Bless this afternoon program involved. Grant them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. May we be enlightened, inspired, and educated. Please accept our worship and hear our prayers. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Sister Myshawn?
Amen. Sister Johnson, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that wonderful prayer.
Amen.
Today, on our 65th annual Ladies' Day, we want to welcome you. We want to welcome those who are watching at home, whether you are on your tablet, your computers, your cell phones. We thank you and we welcome you. Today, we want to talk a little bit about mental health and coping with COVID during this tough time. We know that it is a time where we are in isolation and we are quarantined. We can't socialize or communicate face-to-face with our close friends and family. And so we just want to take this time today, about an hour, and we just want to talk a little bit about our mental health and what it means to take care of our mental health, because we all know that our mental health, as I always say, is just as important as our physical health. And so we have some beautiful women who are going to share with us some of not only their experiences, but kind of share some resources and some information and some feedback on how we can stay aware of our mental health and what we can do during this time to maintain and survive during this coronavirus quarantine. I can tell you for myself, it has not been easy. I don't know about for any of you ladies who are here with me today. It has not been easy at all. There are some days where I tap into my spiritual self more often than I would have if I was at church or if I was having Bible study face to face. And so I find myself spending a lot more time with God and renewing my relationship with Him. I want to introduce you to these wonderful, awesome, beautiful ladies that we have with us here today. We have Dr. Suzanne Barrett. We have Sister Sherilyn Daly. She was our former First Lady here at the Mount Vernon Seventh-day Adventist Church. And we have our current First Lady. I like to call her Queen. That's Sister Jacqueline Laguerre. And we also have Alette Koch. And so we just want to make this as conversational, as candid and transparent as we can. We want you to feel comfortable at home. We want to make sure that you can get a wealth of information and a wealth of resources. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have you beautiful ladies introduce yourself. Suzanne, why don't we start with you? Why don't you tell us a little about who you are and what your experience is in the field?
Okay, sure. I'm Myshawn. Hi, Sister Daly, Sister Laguerre, and I don't remember the other name. Hi. So as you guys know me, I'm a member of Mount Vernon Church. I spent a lot of time there. I went away to school, blah, blah. So it's good to be back with you guys. Love you all.
Good to have.
Yes, and so as you guys know, I went away to medical school when I left Mount Vernon, and then I came back and I was working doing research with HIV for people who have mental health issues and also have the diagnosis of HIV. So I did research in that. And I did some work with childhood lead poisoning. And in 2018, I started working at Harlem Hospital in the psychiatric department, psychiatry residency. And July 1st, I'm going into my third year. I'm so excited about that. I really, really, really love my job. I love psychiatry. I've always loved psychology, and now doing psychiatry is just awesome. I love working in the emergency room. It's my favorite part. Right now, I was just in the SIA consultation and liaison, but I love the emergency room. I like that fast-paced environment and just, being able to think fast on your feet. So I love that. So that's it. And I'm glad to be here. Happy 65th anniversary, ladies. Blessings to all.
Thank you, Dr. Barrett. It's so good to have you. It's so good to see your face. It would be nice to hug you, right?
I know, right?
As long as I get to see your beautiful face and you can share so much of your experience with us today. Queen, our Dr. Jacqueline Laguerre, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, hello, everybody. I did study medicine in Haiti, but then marriage brought me to the United States, where I segued into nursing, and nursing has served me very well. I have practiced all sorts of areas in nursing, from critical care to maternal child to public health. And I was never interested in mental health. That wasn't my thing at all, whether in medical school or in nursing school, until to be accommodating to a nursing agency that I used to work for part-time. I accepted to go work in a psychiatric unit. And then the rest is history. I got there the very first day. I asked them if they were hiring. They told me no at the time, but I kept going there through the agency. Eventually, I took a full-time position with them, and I never looked back. Psychiatry became my thing. So I've been working for almost 16 years in psychiatric nursing. I work with a geriatric and adult population. And the greatest joy for me is to see someone move from being helpless, hopeless, to regaining hope and trust, and strength and courage. And to me, nursing is not even a job, a profession, it's a ministry. That's how I look at it.
Yes,
Thank
I can
you.
understand that, definitely. So, Sister Daly, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. God has been wonderful.
I mean, I haven't seen you in such a long time, but whenever I do see you, I can't tell you, you always look so good. You look refreshed, and so glad to have you here with us. Why don't you share some of your experience with us in the mental health field?
Sure. It is said that there's no health without mental health. Without mental health, you can't have physical, spiritual, or any other kind of health. So it's very important. I fell in love with mental health or with psychology when I went to college. As we did all the different courses, psychology was a great area that I was drawn to, because it's fascinating to see how the brain works. And it's fascinating to see that as you understand how the brain works and how human beings work and how human beings interact, that with care and with love and with time, someone can heal from even very serious mental illness. It got better when I got into health ministries work with Leroy. As we work in health ministries, I find that a balance of health, when you balance nutrition, many times mental health is a result of imbalanced nutrition, imbalanced chemicals, and with a lot of stress and other things coming to play. So we do a full program. We have a program that, and I'll tell you about that later, but the program has a plan and then it has specific things. I'm truly fascinated with the recovery that we see with individuals when they follow these plans.
Nice, nice.
Besides that, I did nursing. I went to Northern Caribbean University, did a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing, then on to Andrews University, where I did a Master's of Science degree in nursing administration, worked as a director of nursing, as an RN and a director of nursing for 22 years, retired early, and which I'm enjoying. I love traveling. I love free time. I love determining my time. But during that time, I have been doing health coaching. So it gives me an opportunity to talk and to counsel so many individuals. And the counseling is coupled with the spiritual side, which is that side that is the strongest side to help anyone with mental health. And God has been truly amazing.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, I just want to say, Sister Daly, I so look forward to all the things that you're going to share with us today about what we're going to be doing in the conference as a whole, the general conference, and as well as Northeastern and all the other conferences around. So, Lord, I'm sorry, please forgive me. It's always a good thing when the young people, I came under the tutelage and the mentorship of some of the wonderful women in the Mount Vernon Church. And one of the things that I like is when I see the young people just following behind. So today I want to introduce you to Alette Koch. She's one of those young women in the church who has, grown her professional career immensely. So Alette, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Alette Koch. I'm currently working in the substance abuse population. I have my master's in mental health counseling. I worked in other populations, as in communicable diseases. I've helped with youth, adolescents. Currently, I work with adult men, so that's quite interesting. But overall, I'm just in mental health, and I love to help people and get them to their best self, or where they want to be at least.
And isn't it a wonderful thing when we're working to kind of allow, encourage people to see and to figure out how they can be their best self?
Yeah, it's actually fun to see that process, like working in substance abuse in a detox and rehab. I get to see someone who comes in sick, and then a lot of times we carry them in, and on their discharge day, they're able to walk out by themselves. So it's a great watching that transition.
Nice. It's good to have you, Alette. I'm so glad you're here. So I want everybody to kind of understand and know that there is a difference between mental health and mental illness. And so just so you guys can understand that there is a difference, I want Dr. Barrett to kind of enlighten us. And ladies, you don't have to stay on mute. Like I said, I want this to be as conversational as it possibly can be. But, Sister Barrett, explain to us, what is the difference between mental illness and mental health?
All right. So with mental, as we think about illness and health, the contrast of those, and we put it in the perspective of mental. So mental health, let's talk about health first. Mental health is like it's like just having a general well-being, like an overall well-being, right? So it's like adequate adjustment to community accepted standards of human relationships. And that is so important because it has to be community accepted standard. It cannot be your own thing with mental health. Okay, a lot of people, they have their own idea and variation of how things are supposed to be, but then it does not fit in societal norms. And then if it does not, then we have to really look into, is this a mental illness, or not just societal norms, but also church norms, religious norms. So we take, as a psychiatrist, and I talk to people, I also ask about their religious beliefs, because sometimes as religious people, we have certain beliefs that may not be accepted by the society. But if it's normal within our religious culture, it doesn't mean we have a mental illness. See what I'm saying? So for mental health, like characteristics of mental health, Myshawn includes like being able to be reasonably independent. Okay, like reasonable, like self-reliance. Those are part of mental health. Having self-direction, that's also part of mental health. Ability to do a job and to do it well. Ability to take responsibility and to make efforts. Those are mental health. Reliability, persistence. If you're able to do that, that's mental health. You get along with people. That's really crucial. If you're not able to get along with people, then something might be wrong. You might need an assessment.
Right.
Cooperation, being able to cooperate with others, to work with authorities. That's also important. To show friendliness and to show love and empathy. Those are all mental health. On the other hand, mental illness is okay. So this is like mental illness is this is like distress. Okay, like distress, problems, like you have problems functioning in the social environment, in your work environment, in your family environment. You're not able to function, properly in there. So you have these conditions that affect your mood, your thinking, and your behavior. That's illness. You see what I'm saying? So it's just not being able to, like you hear the saying, you take a licking and you keep on ticking. So when you have mental illness, you're not able to do that as smoothly. Because we all get stuff that comes into us that could cause us to be ill mentally, but we're not all, have that. A large proportion do, but not. So it's just being able to navigate.
Yes. I'm going to put a question out there too. So we can, everyone can answer, we can, converse about it. Why do you think, right, that there is such a stigma that follows mental health or mental illness, right? Because think about it. If we know someone who is not taking care of their physical health, for lack of a better expression, or we find out that a loved one or a friend has developed cancer, why is it that we are so quick to reach out to take care of that person, right? Who is struggling with being, getting treatment for cancer. But then here we have someone who is a paranoid schizophrenic, someone who is depressed. Shy away from that person. We tend to stay back. Why do you think this stigma follows the mental health community?
If I was to give one word, and anybody else can answer, but just for me, let me give one word, because I see this every day in my job. One word that comes to my mind is just fear. Fear. It's just so, it's fear of the unknown. And people are not able to deal with that fear and process that fear. And that's why it's so important. As Christians, the Bible says, I did not give you a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. But we hear that, we read it in the word, but I don't know if we are able to process that. We need to be able to process that. I think one of the many reasons, Myshawn, it's not just one reason, but one of the big things that I would think about would be that spirit of fear. We are fear. We are afraid.
Yes. Now
I would say.
Yeah, go. Yes.
Another couple of words that could cause that is ignorance.
Yes.
Many times we're ignorant to what mental illness really is. And another thing coupled with that is not being able to take care of it. So when powerlessness, we feel powerless. For someone with cancer, you can recommend, different doctors or different therapies, or someone with diabetes or someone with high blood pressure. You can recommend things for them. You can support them. Where mental illness is concerned, we feel powerless. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to take care of it. Most people. And because of that, coupled with ignorance, then we just panic. Another thing is stigma. There are stigmas attached to mental illness because you imagine someone who's mentally ill, like a man or a woman on the street, tattered clothes, dirty, drinking from the water on the side, having lots of things around them. It's not a great look. So when you think of someone like that with mental illness on the street, a beggar, lost, don't know where they're going, talking nonsense, none of us want to be identified with that kind of picture. Nobody wants our family members to be identified with this picture. No one wants to have friends and you don't know what to do. You don't know how to help them. So you back away.
Right.
That's a big thing.
Another reason is lack of knowledge and education. Yes. So you compared cancer with schizophrenia, especially paranoia. The picture that is out there of schizophrenia or someone who's schizophrenic is the severe kind, someone who isn't in treatment, someone who isn't receiving help. The person on the street who's in distress, who's dirty and not well presentable. A lot of times a lot of people suffer from schizophrenia and are treated and find a way to live in their own reality and adjust with social norms. But as humans, not everybody knows that. A lot of people just see what they see on TV or what they see on the street, and they don't take the time to really understand different disorders. Something like cancer happens to anyone, and it's a medical disease. We are unfortunately more prone to be understanding for anyone who's going through something medical than mental, because mental is kind of in the mind, and you just take the outside appearance and don't think about what's happening inside. Versus mental, a lot of people think, well, you know, it happened to you. You didn't ask for the cancer. But sometimes mental illness happens to you as well. So lack of knowledge.
So true. That is very true. That is very true.
I'm going to stay with you for a second, because I want people to kind of understand the wide span of mental illness. Now, being someone who works in the mental health field myself, I work with a lot of clients who have a mental illness, but they also struggle with a substance abuse addiction. Now, like I said, I'm so glad to have you here. And I know that you said that this is part of your field experience. Can you share some of the coping strategies or some of the skills that you find helps, or that you've shared with some of the people that you've worked with who struggle with substance abuse addiction?
Okay. Well, unfortunately, it is a revolving door when it comes to substance abuse. So the first step would kind of, what I tell my clients is kind of knowing that if you don't have the proper support, relapse will happen. You'll find yourself drinking again, using again, whatever forms of uses you use.
Yes.
While in treatment, something we talk about and something we can use in our own life is the importance of support. 100%. I can disclose that I had a client who was doing well. He relapsed. We worked through the steps. We worked through the skills. We worked through when to implement it. We talked about situations that are triggers. Knowing your own triggers. Self-awareness is a big part of life, but also addiction. And this is not just substance abuse. This is also gambling, sexual, shopping, all kinds of addiction. Just knowing yourself. If you shop because you had a bad day, remember, my boss just yelled at me, I'm about to lose $200, you know, like self-awareness of what you do on your bad days or even your good days is important. So to prevent relapse, it's really having the support. So this client I was talking about, client A, he actually worked through all the process and ended up self-sabotaging. He was a few days from his discharge. His plan was set. Everything was working out. He reconnected with his family. And then in treatment, got into a fight. When you get into a fight now, you get discharged administratively. But if he goes out and use, then it's not his fault. The program kicked him out, and it's everyone else's fault but his own, which is something I see a lot when the revolving doors come around. So just really knowing who's my support, knowing my triggers, identifying, accepting them, and then learning that I can't self-sabotage. When life gets rough, I can't do something so I can point the finger at someone else. Not saying that everyone who struggles with addiction self-sabotage, but relapse usually happens around that time when you get too comfortable in living your life in sobriety and forgetting the consequences of it, or when you are overwhelmed with everything that is happening and you have the skills, but you just decide not to use them.
Yeah, that accountability piece is really, really important. It's really, really important. Sister Daly, what you guys know, I'm actually watching the live chat, and someone actually commented on holistic and herbal treatments to help manage some of the symptoms that they were struggling with. And in reading the question, the comment, it doesn't necessarily speak to mental health itself, but just to kind of piggyback off of what Alette was saying, that it could be, sexually, it could be, any kind of addiction can be, detrimental to our mental health. And so someone mentioned that they use holistic methods and herbal treatments. Can you speak to that? What are some of the holistic methods that we can use to help manage our mental health?
One of the first thing is to accept where you are. And when it comes to mental health, we need to know our mental status ourselves. And sometimes we can't tell. Usually when there's an issue, someone else, a family member, a dear friend is the one who will point it out. And we need to listen. Sometimes we don't listen. We just figure we're okay. But the first step to wellness is to accept where you are. Yes. Once you've done that, the 8 natural laws that we use in health ministries is amazing. Because many times stress is a big thing. And one of those laws is trust in divine power. Trusting in divine power, meaning have faith. Trust God. Trust that he'll take care of it. Especially during COVID-19 or any other time in our life, stress can get the better of us. Yes. And if you believe that we have a God who owns everything, who is able to take care of us, that alone reduces the stress big time. Lots of people have lost their jobs. Over 30 million people have filed for unemployment. And I know some of us have been affected by that. This could be a major stress. When you don't have money to pay your bills, and outside of COVID-19, there are other financial stresses that people go through. There are individuals who are not, the papers are not right in this country. There are just so many things that could stress us out. But knowing there's a God who loves and cares for us does it big time. Running down the 8 laws real quick. The S is for sunshine. So these are some of the natural protocols we use. And sunshine, vitamin D, we're hearing big time how the lack of vitamin D has given rise to the illness and death of individuals with COVID-19 all over the world. Spain, Italy, England, and right here in this country, research is showing this. Vitamin D is also important for the wellness and the balance of our bodies. So even where mental illness is concerned, just making sure you go out and get sunshine. It's amazing how sunshine. Today was a lovely day. I hope some of us got a chance to go out.
I'll tell you this, I went out there.
Did you all get a chance to go out?
I did go out.
All right, let me tell you, what a difference when you go out and the day is beautiful. Not only was the sun shining gloriously, but it wasn't hot and sweaty. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous day. Yes, but what this does, not only do you get the vitamin D that will help to balance your body, because on every cell of our body is a vitamin D receptor site. And vitamin D actually is not a vitamin, it's a hormone. It's a hormone that balances the body. So if you have adequate vitamin D level, it's amazing how well you could do. And we need to check, all of us, and make sure vitamin D levels are above 30. It's very hard to get toxic. Doctors, medical doctors, and the regular science, they're afraid of toxicity, so they kind of keep us on a low. But we need to take charge of our health and make sure, check your vitamin D level. If it's less than 30, get the 50,000 international units of vitamin D from your doctor once a week. Once you're up above 30, they'll give you a maintenance dose from 2,000 to 5,000 international units. Right now, we're encouraging people during COVID-19 to take 10,000 international units so that you can boost your body, boost your immune system, feel healthier mentally as well as physically. Not only that, the sunshine just gives you joy. You're ready to smile, you're ready to laugh. It changes your mood. So someone going through mental illness or even have any kind of mental condition needs to go out in the sunshine. Just go out. The fresh air is the next one. And activity and exercise. So we'll use the start now. So S is for sunshine, A is for activity. Exercise is another thing that's extremely good for individuals for mental health and well-being. Amazing. Then rest. Many times with mental illness, there is insomnia big time. Can't sleep, can't rest. And the less sleep and rest you get is the worse your anxiety, the worse your mental illness. And so it's important to do whatever it takes. And we have methods that we encourage people to do to help them to sleep at night. One thing, don't eat late at night. Don't drink anything late in the evening. Because if you drink just before going to bed, guess what? What's going to happen? You're going to have to get up to use the bathroom to empty your bladder probably several times during the night. And this is going to prevent you from sleeping. If you eat too late, while you're resting, your stomach is there working away. And this also will prevent you from sleeping. Not only that, we need to turn off everything. Turn off the television early, long before going to sleep. Make sure the room is dark. So if you need to put heavy drapes on, do that. Turn off the computer, and there are all these little lights. Everything has a bling, bling, bling light nowadays. The phones, the this, the clock, turn them off or cover what you need to cover so you can get great sleep and rest. So that's the rest. T, second T is for temperance. Temperance is avoiding substance abuse, like you talk about in your program, Alette. Avoiding anything that's going to harm the human body. Yes. And even the things that are good for us, use it in moderation. Many people who are, a little bit anxious and having challenges sometimes, intemperance put them in certain conditions, and now they're regretful. There's remorse, there is guilt, there's all this thing that affects our mental health. So avoid the things that's going to put you in a situation where you're going to be regretful. N is for nutrition, and that's a big piece. Because depending on what you eat, it's amazing what it can do to your body. And when you're not healthy, it throws you off big time. Anybody who's COVID positive when they get tested, go through a period of serious mental challenge. Because just knowing you're positive, just hearing on the news that people are dying from this condition that I'm now positive with, can really make it challenging. And we've talked to a number of people, and if we had time, I could tell some stories, but time is limited, and I'll tell them another time. So it's important to balance. We find that the things we eat, closer to the way that God made them, closer to nature, has a great impact on our health, mentally, physically, and otherwise. So fruits and vegetables, natural things, legumes, and the natural things, using them as simply and naturally as possible, Ellen White says, really enhance mental health. And the last one is water. Oh, I can't say too much about water. And it helps not just body, but mind. Because the brain, 70+% of the brain is made up of water. Very good, Alette. Good. We're doing it by example, right? I love that. Thank you so much. And I'm praying that, especially now that we're home, many of us, or all the time, we need to truly hydrate. Yes. Because the body is made up of 70+% water. Different organs have different amounts. The blood has most. The brain is very next. And what the body does to strive for homeostasis, it will take water from your joints and from your bones, to supply the brain, because the brain's got to have the amount of water to keep it. Or else what happens is we get confused. And some people going through anxiety and mental illness, it's a result of severe hydration over time. Yes. Dehydration, sorry. It's a severe dehydration over time. So it's important for us to do that. So by doing these things, it helped. And one product that we found, I work with Brother James Luke, and one product that we found works really well for anxiety is one called ashwagandha. H-W-A-G-A-N-D-H-A. I have a bottle right here. It might be hard to see, but ashwagandha. And it comes in powder form, it comes in capsule form, and you take it with meals. In fact, you take it about a half an hour before you eat your meals. And it is amazing.
What is that again? Because I'm all for it. I mean,
check it out. And you can Google search. You guys could Google search ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is excellent. A-S-H-W-A-G-A-N-D-H-A. Ashwagandha. It's like a miracle drug. I'll tell you some of the things it does. It has 10 powerful health benefits, and the main ones are anti-anxiety. Ashwagandha is a herb with great significance in Indian medicine. It was used amongst many purposes to strengthen the immune system. And it's also an anti-inflammatory, anti-stress, antioxidizing medication. Natural, and it's natural, which is great. It's a plant, and you probably know the plant. It has big leaves, it has a red shoot that comes up in it, and it's excellent. It reduces anxiety. What it does, it soothes anxiety and promotes relaxation and a sense of calmness. Couldn't we all use that right now?
Yes, definitely. I can tell you I can. Most definitely.
Something else it does, it reduces stress. And anybody with any kind of mental, condition could use the reduction of stress, and ashwagandha will do this for you. Chronic stress is ever present in modern society, we know that, and increases the risk of mental illness. Ashwagandha's ability to act as a mood stabilizer and improve resistance to stress is amazing. And I could go on and on and on, various things that it does, but check it out yourself. It's amazing.
Yeah, and if there's anyone who wants information about it, I'm sure that we can get the information to them. Now, like I said, I'm watching the live, and I see some comments coming in, and I see some Zoom comments coming in, and so one of the things that I saw that was really interesting that I really want us to kind of touch on really quickly, because I know we have a limited amount of time. And Sister Legia, I would love for you to kind of spearhead this piece, that mental illness or mental health is also affected by domestic violence. Can you speak to domestic abuse? Can you share any feedback and experiences, or what are some resources that you can share in terms of someone who may be struggling with either being a victim or being the abuser themselves?
Well, we have to say that when it comes to habits or practice, people do or they replicate what they have been exposed to. You walk a certain way, you dress a certain way, you speak a particular language because you have been exposed to that way of life. And when it comes to, for example, physical abuse, a lot of people are brought up in a family where the parents don't know how to express their frustration properly. They take it out on each other, on the children, on the cat, the dog. They throw shoes and objects, and so physical abuse is rampant. So, of course, when you grow up, you feel like, oh my goodness, I've been so hurt by the way I've been treated. I'll never treat anybody like this. What you don't realize is that you have to unlearn in order to learn properly.
Right.
And so oftentimes we are hurt, we mourn the hurt, we get angry and upset at the perpetrator, but we don't do any better than them. So because we haven't been trained to do otherwise. And so physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, those are very subtle, but I think they are even more hurtful because they are less obvious. So they hurt you privately. If I'm a child and I go to school with a bruise, my teacher is going to be alerted, my classmates, or neighbors, someone will see something and tend to make an intervention. But if I'm abused mentally, it's harder for someone to touch on that and provide me the assistance that I might need. So I think we need to do a lot of introspection, self-examination. Yeah. We need to consider where we were brought up, how we were brought up. I think we spend a lot of time getting entertained, but I think a lot of adult time should be spent looking back, not with regret, but looking back in order to analyze what is my legacy? What have I been handed down from my family of origin? What, if any, of that legacy I am willing or is advisable for me to pass down to the next generation? Yes. So I think people, a sign of adulthood is mindfulness. I think we need to be more mindful about what it is that we have received and make a decision about what it is that we want to pass on.
Yes.
It's a very painful exercise. It can be very painful because oftentimes we want to bury the past, but then we fail to learn the lessons that are so important for us to apply for the future. So yes, abuse is rampant, especially with the shelter-in that we're experiencing with COVID-19, where people are one on top of the other, getting on each other's nerves. So I think we have to pull together, pull our spiritual muscles, as you expressed earlier, that you find yourself seeking God out more frequently. I think we all need to do that so that the good Lord will allow us to cope appropriately and learn the various lessons that are available through that experience. Because nothing is wasted in God's kingdom. There is no trash in God's kingdom. Everything gets recycled, okay, and reused for a better purpose.
So, Alette, this is the, because I know that you have the mental health counseling piece. Dr. Laguerre, forgive me. Dr. Laguerre spoke really well about domestic violence and relationships and that shelter in place. What are some things that you can share with married couples, whether they've been married for 20 years or whether they just got married just before the quarantine or they had to have a quarantine marriage? What is some feedback that you can give and you can share with us?
Some feedback how marriage couples can cope through quarantine because they just
ma'am. And listen, I can tell you this. I'm not even going to sit here and lie. I love my husband to death, but sometimes I think we drive each other crazy, especially during this quarantine time.
Funny enough, I've heard that a lot of not even clients, just friends. Sorry, guys, they're going crazy at home. So what I do say, or what I can say, is communicate, support, and connect. Like, we have an opportunity in this very devastating time. We live in New York. We're a city. Everything's fast paced. We're all about family and we're very family oriented, but we kind of try to pencil in family time.
Yeah.
We use homework and dinner time, and we like the same show, like, oh, that's family time. But in quarantine, you literally have the time to have family time.
No excuses.
Exactly. Now, those of us who have kids, we are now teachers, and we are learning that we're teaching our kid when we're cooking dinner and we don't connect with our husband as much. So that's why connect was one of the things I used to cope. Don't forget that you are married at the end of the day. You can go on little dates when the kids are asleep. You can binge watch a movie. Not too much that it takes over your work life, but making time for each other. We make our time to pray. We make our time to talk to our friends, but sometimes we neglect our loved ones because we just take for granted they're there. And we can communicate, because a lot of times people are talking and listening, but they are not comprehending. So communicate, the true form of communicate and support each other. Some of us are having a hard time adjusting. I met a couple that one person likes to go to work, the other person doesn't like to go to work, and they're on site, and it makes the spouse feel uncomfortable. What do you bring in our home? Talking about that, supporting each other, saying, I recognize this fact that you do need to go outside. You need that sunlight and water from outside. It makes me uncomfortable. Where can we compromise on this and find a compromise? Because something that will happen is domestic violence. And like Pastor Laguerre said, you don't see the emotional and the mental abuse as prevalent as you do the physical abuse. It's easy to see a little bruise, but it is hard to see your best friend self-esteem lower when her boyfriend, is tearing her down at home, and you don't know that because she doesn't talk about it. You literally have to listen for cues. So supporting one another, being open about it, transparency is always the key. And then finding a way to connect on something. If it's cooking, even if it's taking out the garbage, every couple has that strange thing they like to do together. Do that.
Now, I wanted, because I have some wonderful people that are responding in the chat. That's my sister Vanilla Saunders. That is my girl. She's my all-time, one of my hearts. I love her. She said hi. And then we have Misha Daly. Misha Daly is a licensed clinical social worker, and she gave a resource. She said, my sister's place in Yonkers, New York is a great place, is a great resource. And is it for domestic violence, Misha? Do you think it's for domestic violence for women or people who are victims of domestic violence? And then we have Vernon Sweetness Wholeness. She's asking, she says she needs that for sure, but I'm not sure. She said, how can I get that? So I'm hoping that she'll respond and say, hi, Opal. I'm hoping that she'll respond and say, what is she asking for specifically, so that any of you beautiful ladies can respond to it. Yes, Misha said, yes, it is a women's shelter in Yonkers. So if there's anyone on this chat, anyone that's watching live, Anyone in the Zoom, if you are struggling, if you are a victim of domestic violence, please, please, please reach out to My Sister's Place. And we're also going to put some resources towards the end of the program. Sister Barrett, I think this one, I saw someone that says that addiction and mental illness and even substance abuse is a hereditary thing. Can you speak to that, Dr. Barrett?
Oh, sure. So I just want to say quickly, there's also a National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233, just in case anyone needs that, 1-800-799-7233. And that's the National Domestic Violence Hotline.
And if we can get that posted in the chat, that'll be great. And someone also asked about the ashwagandha as well. So if we can get that information posted in the live feed, that would be great. That would be awesome. But if you can just share that number one more time, Dr. Barrett, just to make sure I'm able to write that down.
So it's 1-800-799-7233. 1-800-799-7233. That's the National Domestic Violence Hotline. You could call from anywhere at any time if you're really in trouble and need help. Okay, no one here is going to judge you or anything like that. They're just there to help.
Awesome. Oh, great. Thank you so much. Mount Vernon posted the number. Thank you guys so much. So one of the things that I really want to touch on, because, we do have a limited amount of time, is this COVID-19 quarantine. I'm not going to lie. Like when it first happened, I was okay with it because I work from home. So for me, it was nothing to be confined home. But I lie to you not. I think by day 7 or by day 9, because like the first day when they said that's it, everything is that can't go out, can't this social distancing, all that other good stuff. I went and did and got all the arts and crafts that I love to do. I went and just filled my space up with just the things to keep me and my children and my husband busy. But I can promise you by day 7, day 9, I think I was somewhere here. I don't know where I was, but I was almost gone. So if we can, Dr. Barrett, can you speak to this COVID-19? Can you share with us, how can someone maintain their mental health, if they're feeling like their mental health is declining related to COVID, and then someone who has an actual mental health diagnosis, how can they maintain being, just doing well with being quarantined? And just really quickly before you speak, I had a client who actually called me, client A, as Alette would like to refer to them too. She called me and she was just like, "Oh, Myshawn, I just feel like I'm going to jump from my 2nd-story balcony." And so I kind of had to talk her down and the thing that really got her was when she put a picture in her head of staying quarantined and staying confined, she thought she could not at all, absolutely for nothing, go outside. She didn't even think she could go out on her balcony. So I had to tell her, it's okay. As long as you have a mask, as long as you're practicing social distancing, you should be fine. She was like, "Oh, thank God." So can you speak to that? Can you speak to someone who during this COVID time can manage their mental illness or maintain their mental health?
Sounds good. Excellent. Before this, you had said there was another question about, I'm just going to be very brief about this drug, just to give the person a little something about mental illness and drug addiction. So I just want to say that that is so true. The person is right. There's some people have a predisposition to developing an addiction because of their whole biological, chemical makeup in their brain. Not everyone who takes cocaine becomes addicted. Some people walk away. In fact, the majority of people walk away from it after a one-time experience or whatever. But some people, the one time they take it, they are just out forever. It's the same thing with alcohol. So the person is right. There's some people have a predisposition to develop an addiction because of their whole genetic makeup. So that is why they encourage you. Abstinence is really the best because you really don't know. And another thing too, a lot of people take drugs to self-medicate. They don't want to be on because there are, it's not like before. We have drugs, potent and drugs that work to treat schizophrenia, bipolar, whatever the mental illness is. We have medication for that. You don't have to be afraid to come to the psychiatrist. We have medication, but some people don't want to take medication, so they self-medicate with drugs. So that's also how drugs and mental illness, come into play. So there's more to say. I'm just being very vague with that, whatever. But let me jump to what you were talking about just now, which is mentally healthy in this time, or do your best to just keep yourself while we are still trying to figure this thing out on a global sense. And one of the things I want to mention is the ABC of mental health. Like, first thing you want to do is you want to practice, and different ladies spoke about touching on these subjects and these aspects tonight when they were talking. So the first thing is awareness. You need to be mindful. You need to practice mindfulness. One of the things that I've done I grew up in Jamaica, and one of the things I had to do in school in Jamaica, we had to memorize certain passages of Bible. And one of them for me is Psalm 23. So when I became aware that I need to practice this mindfulness and this awareness, I had an anchor. And my anchor, my core is Psalm 23. Whenever something is going wrong, a thought comes in my mind that is not right, I go and I repeat the entire Psalm 23. I'm constantly saying it in my head. Before I came on here tonight with you, while we were there, I was repeating Psalm 23. So have an anchor. It may not be Psalm 23. It might be just a verse, one verse, or a mantra. Some people call it a mantra,
Yes, ma'am.
But choose something, and that is going to be your anchor. That's going to anchor you back to focus on Christ. Because remember with Peter, when he took his eyes off the Lord, that he was sinking. So in all of this, if you are going to put your eyes on coronavirus, then it's going to become overwhelming. So you need an anchor. And I found the best anchor is in the Word of God. Find a very short verse, or it doesn't have to be a whole Psalm 23. Just something to anchor, and that is going to be important. Journal, write. You might want to write out your thoughts. That's another thing some people do. They journal, helps them to practice this mindfulness of aware. So awareness is key. Gratitude. Do not forget gratitude. That is so crucial with awareness. You need that gratitude piece where you're thankful to God, you're thankful for all the things. And when you practice that gratitude, I think I heard Oprah said every morning she finds like 5 or 10 things to be thankful for. And I'm suggesting it to all of us that we find some things to be thankful for before we start the day. That's going to make a big difference. All right, so that's the A of the ABC of mental health. And the B is balance.
Yes.
Sometimes we're so focused on everybody else and everything else, and we leave ourselves out, and it's good. Everything has its place. You do want to remember that we are here. We're communal beings. We're here. We need to reach out to people, but don't forget yourself. So balance is crucial. And I heard drink water. We're back to that walking outside, stretching, avoiding too much information in this COVID-19. Those are all for balance, When you over information overload, that will tilt you to one side. You don't want that. So balance. So remember, awareness, balance. Then the C of the ABC is connecting. So what you want to do, here it is, we're in social distancing, so we can't really be physically next to each other. But look at it now. We're Zooming. So that's connection. We're able to gather as a church via this Zoom media. So, and there are different apps I heard about. So I've never tried any of the others, but if you can really get that, you can stay connected to people. So do not forget, you need that social network. You need to maintain that. Don't lose sight of your friends because you're quarantined. Don't lose sight of those people who are there for you because you're quarantined. You see what I'm saying, Myshawn?
I think that the whole video, communicating by video is really, really important. It's because it's always good to see someone's face.
Exactly. Well said. It is so true. And it gives you that connection. Even though you can't physically touch them, emotionally you can still connect. You can still get that feeling. Even when I'm talking to patients, sometimes I talk to them over the phone. So that is really crucial. So that's what I would say. I would say awareness, balance, and connection. Those are key. And if you feel overwhelmed still, listen, if you feel overwhelmed still, that is a important thing, and I don't want you to think anyone is going to judge you. So don't forget that there is a national suicide hotline that you can call and talk to people. I like to give these hotline numbers, and this is 1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255. Some people have lost many people.
Someone else put in here Oasis Hope Line, which is 1-877 Hope New York, or you can text to 2417. So I'm going to say that again. It's the Oasis Hope Line, and that number is 1-877 Hope New York, or text 2417. But I want Sister, I'm sorry, I keep saying sister, but it's Dr. Laguerre. I really want you to come in here and just kind of speak on how, because one of the things that we tend to forget, right? Because even for ourselves, is burnout, right? Because even if someone is, let's say, has a mental illness or struggling with their mental health, they still experience burnout, just like we as the professionals and the practitioners in the field experience burnout. And so, Dr. Laguerre, if you can for me, just kind of share, not only because Dr. Barrett spoke and she preached a slight little word. I heard it coming in there when we were on the spiritual aspect. I love to hear her speak. One of the things, I miss your prayers, Dr. Barrett, but I can tell you this, Dr. Laguerre, if you can for a moment, just kind of speak to just the spiritual aspect and someone being able to maintain spiritually during this COVID time, just to kind of piggyback off of what Dr. Barrett said, and to also talk about burnout. How can we address both, but at the same time, how can we intertwine the two?
All right. I would say that everything about us is spiritual, and because we were created by God in his image, and God is spirit. We need to remember that. Too often we focus on the physical.
Yes.
And we neglect the spiritual aspect. We make it optional.
Yes.
We have to remember that we start with the spiritual, because I will remind the audience that Adam and Eve sinned. And the moment they sinned, everything else that concerned them was changed. All right? They sinned against God, but then they started fighting each other. They started accusing each other, even accusing God, because the woman you gave me, the man you placed next to me, the serpent, people are not stop being accountable. So they were throwing blames around. And even nature suffered a big blow. That's when we started with thorns and thistles. So what happens in the spiritual realm is not irrelevant elsewhere in life.
Yes.
All right? God created us for relationships. Our relationships are marred. He created us for a relationship with him. We started running away from him once we sinned.
Yes.
Okay? So I'd say if we want to reestablish, reconnect, even with our own selves, because we blame ourselves too, even when we are not to be blamed necessarily, and we blame other people. So we are a hot mess, basically, because of sin. So what I'd say is go back to God. It is said that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
Yes.
So when we fail in the spiritual realm, we fail everywhere else in life, even nature, ecology, and all of that. So when you are stressed, you see what I mean? Stress is a good thing. Stress is not bad. Stress is there because God placed it there. The stress hormone, cortisol, adrenaline, they are there for a purpose. If I am putting my hand next to a hot stove, I need to be able to feel pain. Mm-hmm. Pain is a friend too. Because if I don't feel pain, I will burn my hand.
Yes.
I will get a 3rd-degree burn. So pain is my friend. As long as it's controlled, it's limited. Likewise, stress is good to face an emergency. But chronic stress leads to burnout. And when you say burnout, you think of a lit candle. Mm-hmm. It burns down to nothing.
Yes, great.
When it burns down to nothing, you have no light, you have no energy. And you know what? The body needs energy. Everything is energy. I remember having surgery once. I had a ruptured acute appendicitis.
Mhm.
All right. I went from being fine to going to the hospital and having emergency surgery. They didn't even know what was wrong with me.
Yes.
To explore. Okay. After that surgery and all, everything I went through, I returned home and my mom made me a cup of tea. She gave me the cup of tea and I asked her to please find another cup. I couldn't hold a mug. It was too heavy for me to hold. All right. She had to find a foam cup for me to drink that tea. This is to illustrate that nothing can happen without energy. So when you are burnt out, you have nothing left, not even to live. Forget about anything to give to someone else.
Right.
So being burnt out is terrible. It's horrible. And we need to try and prevent this as much as possible. The 8 laws of health that Sister Daly just covered with us are a good way of keeping balance in our life. We need to rest one day a week, every week. We also need to rest every day. All right, we cannot just work, and because at some point the candle is going to burn out. And we need to practice what the good doctor said earlier, gratitude. I often ask my patients to write a gratitude list. And I tell them to keep an ongoing list. Put it on the fridge, keep it in your bedside table, keep adding to it. And anytime you find yourself downcast and you lose your spirit, pick up that list and read it. It will just be a pick me up. And
yes,
so
definitely.
Gratitude is very important. So a return to God and simplify your existence. Ask yourself, why am I burnt out? Why am I so stressed out? Is it because I'm placing too many demands on me? A simple life is a better life. And the Apostle Paul even said that if you have food and clothing, you are okay, you are all set.
Yes.
He doesn't even make a provision for where I'm going to live. Under a tree, I guess, would be just fine. Yes. So we need to simplify. This quarantine, if nothing, did this for me. I looked at my closets. I am not a dresser. I'm not someone who goes shopping all the time, but over time you do accumulate stuff. Mm-hmm. And I look at my closet and say, why do I need all this?
Yes.
You barely wear them. You tend to wear the same things over and over and over, but then you have this stuff accumulated here. We don't even need it for sure, but it's there. So simplify. And I think there's one thing that is a dishonor to God is when we worry. Because when I worry about things, what I will eat, what I'll wear, where will I live, what about my children, their safety, my safety. When I worry, in essence, I'm telling God, you don't really know what's going on with me.
Yes.
Or you don't really care what's happening to me, or you don't have the power to intervene on my behalf. So this is a dishonor to God. It's a lack of trust. God doesn't want us to worry. He said, anything that is an issue for you, turn it over to me and allow me to provide. And in exchange, I will give you my peace. This peace that goes beyond every imagination.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
Peace is a hallmark of the presence of God in someone's life. I dare say that if I'm burnt out, I'm probably sinning against God.
Yeah, that's something to definitely think about, because I like what Matthew chapter 26 speaks about, where he talks about if he takes care of the birds and the things that crawl on the earth, why wouldn't he take care of us? And so, yes,
that's right.
Yeah, so it's really important that we definitely put him at the forefront. Our spiritual connection with him, I think, at this time is really important. But I want to go to Sister Daly before, because I see some great stuff that's happening here in the chat, and so I really want us to be able to just kind of touch on what I see going on here in the chat. But Sister Daly, if you can just briefly share with us what is the Seventh-day Adventist community? And when I say that, I mean us as a people, the General Conference, the Northeastern Conference, and all the conferences around. What are some of the things that are happening in terms of how they are helping not just Seventh-day Adventists, but just the community on a whole? How are they helping to help people? What are they doing, I should say, to help people manage during this COVID-19 crisis?
There are quite a few things. There are quite a number of things that are being done, because we believe that human beings, we are total people. There's the physical, the mental, the psychological, the social. And on all these levels, we have various organizations that are working. The General Conference, the North American Division, they are donating funds to help with soup kitchens and food pantries. We have so many food pantries all around the city. And we have a hotline that if you call, you can get referral to that. Not only that, we think about the emotional, which is our program this evening, the emotional health of people right now. So anybody who would like to get some spiritual and emotional support, we have the Northeastern Conference and the Greater New York Conference jointly have a hotline, and I'll give that number out. It's 866-414-3258. 3258.
If we can get that number in the chat, that'll be awesome.
Yes, 866-414-3258. And this hotline is from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day, including today. Awesome. Dial in and they'll refer you to either pastoral counseling or some very, very, skilled and experienced counselors for psychological and emotional support. Awesome. Not only that, not only that, we also have the Health Ministries Department. And in the Health Ministries Department, we offer the physical support that is needed. Because the biggest thing that's happening in this pandemic is people are getting sick and people are dying. Yes. When we sense that, we really realize that God started training gospel medical missionaries years ago for this very moment. And the good Lord brought things together. So we're working in connection with several of our naturopathic doctors. We have medical doctors, naturopathic doctors, trained gospel medical missionaries, and we team up. And the good Lord placed in our hand a protocol. And this protocol has been working very effectively for individuals. If you're a frontline worker, you need to get a hold of this protocol. Because what it does, it has all the natural things, some of the things that you use anyway. We've talked to frontline workers who they were using various things, but they were getting sick anyway. When they use our protocol, it's amazing that they prevented themselves from getting ill, even though their peers who they work beside in the hospitals and the other healthcare facilities were falling out, getting sick, and sadly, some of them have lost their lives. But those who were gospel medical missionaries, they're working every day and they're staying healthy. Isn't that amazing?
Yes, it's
all
wonderful.
Praise goes to God. This is God's plan. Something else that happens is that we have individuals who have been COVID positive. Once we hear of someone who is COVID positive and they would like to work with us, we have support teams all over Northeastern Conference.
Wonderful.
In Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Bronx, Rockland, Westchester has a strong team. If anybody knows of anybody, and they don't have to be Seventh-day Adventists, they don't have to be members of our church, get in touch with our health ministries director, our medical missionary team, headed by Sister Wedderburn. Sister Wedderburn, you could get in touch with her or any of the other gospel medical missionaries that you know, or just call the health ministries department or myself, and we will get you the support. The way the support team works, we have the protocol, but we don't do a cookie cutter kind of work. We do an assessment so we know what each individual needs, and we adjust the protocol depending on the needs of that particular individual. If someone's a diabetic, for instance, we don't use the honey, and this is just all natural things we use for the protocol. Turmeric, ginger, garlic, onion, lemon, cayenne pepper. It's a combination. Another thing we use in this protocol is oregano oil. That oregano oil has antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal property that we find is one of the kickers that really help people to get over this virus. But you need to know how to take it. It's got to be taken with water or juice twice a day, and we have teams that support individuals. So the support team will do the assessment. We adjust the protocol depending on what individual needs, are, and they would set them up with a protocol, and it would be several individuals, 3, 4 or so, and these individuals would be praying for the individuals, for the spiritual support as they go through. What we found, by the next day, individuals call back and they report how they've done well. I'll tell you one short story. I know time is limited. Do I have time to share?
We have like about less than 5 minutes.
Okay.
So if I can, because I really want to get into some of the things in the chat, and I know that we're not going to be able to get to everything and everybody. I'm so sorry, but I know I kind of feel like this is going to be a part 2. So at least I'm getting ready for part 2. But one of the questions that I really want to answer, want someone to answer, or even myself, it says, what is Mount Vernon Seventh-day Adventist Church doing to help its members with mental illness other than referring them to the conference? I can definitely tell you that Mount Vernon Seventh-day Adventist Church has an awesome health department. We don't only support and help its members and even members in the community with just physical illnesses, but we definitely support those and we help them with their mental health. So if someone comes to us in need, to whether it's for support or whether for referral, there are things that we provide them with, resources in the community, and there's going to be a list of resources, as I said, that's going to be seated at the end of on the screen at the end of this video, this presentation. We refer them to, licensed professionals who are not only just someone who may be, and I don't want people to think that it's just about who we serve in our own, but it's community outreach. Any kind of help is always outreach. And so we refer them to community outreach, as many agencies that are out there in the Westchester County area who can help not just the individual themselves, but the family, because sometimes mental illness, and not even sometimes, but most often mental illness just doesn't affect that individual. It affects the family as a whole. It affects the person who, we identify what we say in the field as natural supports. These are people who are identified as an aunt, a cousin, a brother, a sister, a wife, a husband. Those are what natural supports are. So you can imagine someone whose mental health is declining, or someone whose mental illness is declining. We kind of want to make sure that we don't only help support that individual, but we support their family as well. So we refer them out to many clinicians who are in the field. And if you feel like, anyone who is a member of Mount Vernon, or if you frequently watch our services, if you feel like you need support, please give us a call. Our number is 914-665-8586. And you can ask to speak to someone in the health department, and we will definitely give you all the support. And whatever you ask, we will definitely try to help to meet your needs. I do see here that someone mentioned therapy. So Misha did ask, not sure if therapy was spoken about, but I want to kind of give this to you because, like I said, we have like 3 minutes. So just really quickly, what is your take on therapy? Because people tend to shy away when you hear them say, oh, well, go see a therapist. I'm not crazy. No, that's not what that means, So can you just speak to that really, but just give us, if you give us 30 seconds.
All right, and therapy, in 30 seconds, therapy is good. Right now, the globe is going through what we call collective trauma. Everybody is going through something. So a therapist, in a synopsis, is literally talking to your best friend, but they're unbiased, and they're going to help you through the process and work on you. And they're, unlike talking to your best friend who will tell you her opinions, your therapist is really on the fence, but always for you. And it is never a bad idea to talk to your best friend. So it's never a bad idea to talk to a therapist. I know culturally, it's not the first thing we think of. A lot of people say, I go to God, and I do suggest you go to God. Yes. But along with going to God, because God puts these people in our life for support, definitely see a therapist. They'll help you through understanding yourself in any situation. Like I said, right now it's collective trauma. So you can unpack that and then unpack underlying issues too.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much. This was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like I said, I am so excited for this. We weren't able to touch on anything, and I really feel like this is a topic that we can keep going on with. And I feel like a part 2 is coming. And I'm definitely going to have some more people, some more great people I know who are in the mental health field to kind of join us on the next round. But what I really want to do right now is I want to go over some resources that are in the community. If we can get that up on the screen, that would be great. We do have the Mental Health Association of Westchester. They are a mental health agency that supports not only adults, but they support children as well. I know that they provide individual case management. And so if you guys are looking to reach out and just to see how if case management is something that you can help with, they do also do individual counseling. And I'm sure they do marriage and family counseling, substance abuse. Their website is www.mhaofwestchester.org. Forgive me. We also have the Mental Health Association of New York. So that would be www.mhanys.org. We also have the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. That website is http://afsp.org. We also have SAMHSA, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Their website is www.samhsa.gov. We have the New York State Office of Mental Health. We all know the acronym OMH. So that's what is popularly known as. We have Project Teach. We also have Family Support Services. They are under the Office of Mental Health. We have Youth Power. Their website is https youthpower.ftnys.org. We also have Teens Health. So if there are any teens out there, I know we didn't get to talk about children and youth this round, but I'm almost certain that for the next one, the next fire blazing one will be more so to the children and the youth who also struggle with mental illness. Their website is https://kidshealth.org. And like I said, if you or someone you know is struggling with a mental health illness, or you feel like your mental health is declining, please reach out. There were a number of, I'm going to look here again, there were a number of hotlines that were placed in the chat. If you are affiliated with any church, whether it's a Seventh-day Adventist church or whether it's, a Sunday, whatever, please reach out to your church, ask for help. Do not be afraid. Do not be ashamed, because your mental health, I can't stress it enough, is as important as your physical health. Now, as we wrap it up, I have a wonderful presentation for a wonderful young lady. Her name is Victoria Johnson. She was asked to do a project in school really quickly. And so instead of writing it down, she decided that she was going to do a song. And so I kind of want to share this song with everybody so that everyone can just get a touch of how important you are. Thank you.
Better than you. By Victoria. Help by none. Yeah. Let's get it. No one's better than you. No one's better than you. Yeah, yeah. No one's better than you. Sometimes I be feeling down, even when Bobby is around. And sometimes I be feeling depressed when people get the best of me, yeah. My dad wants my brother to be the good guy while I'm here selling fish all the time. But just so you know, I love you though, and no one's better than you. No one's better than you. No one's better than you, yeah, yeah. No one's better than you, yeah, yeah. Goes out to all the depressed people out there. No one's better than you, or you, or you, or you. Than you.
Thank you, Tori. That was amazing. Just remember, no one is better than you. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for our 65th annual Ladies' Day, coping with COVID, being aware of our mental health, our mental illness. And again, those resources were placed on the screen. If you need help, please don't be afraid to reach out. Why? Because no one's better than you. Love you guys. Thanks for joining. Have a great evening.
so much.
Bye.
And remember, we should practice physical distance.